Hello, this is Hiker Paul with you on this January 22nd, 2025. And I wanted to give you two updates. One is about the podcasts that I do. I currently have been doing two podcasts, and I'm adding another. So if you have a pencil, you could jot this down. The one podcast I do is called Hiker Boots Podcast. Hiker Boots Podcast. And on that podcast, I do like an overview of each book of the Bible, and I'm working through my way through the Bible, and right now I'm in the Old Testament. So if you'd like to listen to some podcasts about a synopsis or a condensed, hey, what's this book about? That's what I do on that podcast called Hiker Boots Podcast. Now, the second podcast is called Bible History Talks, and that's where I talk about Bible history. And one of the themes that I've been focusing on recently is how did we get our Bible? And that's what I address on that podcast, and my hope is to address other historical dynamics of the Bible also. And I do these podcasts as I am able. Sometimes I get real busy and I'm just not able to get to it, so I just do these as I'm able. So if you're able to subscribe or whatever you do to get notifications when I have a new one come out, then you'll get notified. Now the new one that I just started, and I've wanted to do this for a long time, but I've been holding off just because I've got a lot going on, and it's like, man, should I take on another one? But I just need to do this. So it's called Forward Walk. And on this podcast, I'm focusing on the Gospels of the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And one of the kingpins that I'm moving into this podcast with are the commands of Christ. So, we say, yeah, I'm a follower of Christ. And someone might say, well, what's that mean to be a follower of Christ? Or what? And you might say, well, I'm supposed to love people. And yeah, we are supposed to love people. But Jesus has very specific commands for us to follow. And that's what I'd like to, so what I'm planning to do and have already started doing on this podcast. And this is a step of faith for me. Lord willing, God will empower me to have the time and the energy to keep going with this. So again, that podcast is called Forward Walk. All these podcasts are available on the platform Spreaker, but they're also available on iTunes and a couple of the other major platforms also. So again, there you have it, Hiker Boots Podcast, Bible History Talks, and then the new one called, that I invite you to join along with, all of them, but this brand new one is called Forward Walk. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to share is that I've been doing these podcasts, YouTube videos, I do the podcast too, to share my walks across America, so it's been my goal in my older years here to walk across the United States, and so that has been taken place in steps because of my season of, with what's going on in life. It just doesn't work out to leave for half a year. So I've been doing it in sections. So I've done several sections so far. So far I've gone from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River in Davenport, Iowa. So my quest is to continue from that longitudinal line, whether it's Davenport. I was actually initially looking to start at Davenport and continue in the American Discovery Trail out west, but I'm actually looking to take the southern route. So I'm actually looking to resume at St. Louis, which is actually a little bit east of that. So I'll have some extra walking there. But so anyway, if everything goes well, I will plan to be doing that at the beginning of March, where I will transit out to St. Louis and then embark upon this continued venture to walk across America. And it's been quite extraordinary. Man, I have just so many miracles that have taken place. One is my shop here, I have backpacks, and here's like a construction ribbon. One of them is, I think I was in Ohio or Indiana, I'm not sure, remember. I was walking along the highway, and I had a big heavy cart at the time, and I lost the flag. I took it off to cross some heavy traffic, and then I somehow put it back on, and it fell off, and then it's like, man, here I am out in traffic with no orange safety thing, and I prayed, and a few hundred feet down there was this big spool of fluorescent construction ribbon that I ended up tying to my backpack. It was just an amazing answer. So anyway, there's just so many miraculous events that just took place, and it's just amazing what happens, and I'm looking with anticipation as to what will unfold when I leave here at the beginning of March on this continued trek. And what is different, what's the same, is that I do want to continue sharing with people. I'd like to pray with people on my trip, and I share the gospel, and I share about the podcast that I do with people I meet on the trip, and so that'll be the same. But what's different is that before, I would use a cart, and it was like an 80-pound cart, and I had all kinds of stuff, everything I thought I needed, and but it was dangerous. It was very nice to have what I needed, but it was very dangerous out on the roads, and it was very heavy. Boy, in those in the eastern part of Ohio, going up and down those hills and around and through these fracking facilities. Oh man, it was brutal going up the hills and then going down the hills with this 80-pound cart. So this time I'm giving it a go to go more of an ultralight backpacking venue where I will walk it without a cart. So this is experimental. This is going to be new for me. Experimental in the sense that I'm doing my walk across the country without a cart for me. I've done backpacking on the Appalachian Trail with just a backpack, so that's not foreign to me. But doing this walk across America with just a backpack is going to be new for me. So that'll be interesting. So anyway, come the beginning of March, if everything goes well, I plan to continue that trek, so I invite you to come along with me as I do that. So I invite you for two things. One is to continue the trek with me as I walk across America, and the other is to join along with me on the podcast and with this new one called Forward Walk. So until next time.